Hey parents, so today I brought in this case to give our Masters 2 students a visual that goes along with noun cases so that they can remember some of how to tie in English from essentials to the Latin of changing the endings that they're going to experience in challenge. So the way that I try to do each subject with my Masters 2 is to give them a little touch into where they're headed. So they've been learning this information for many years. All of my students have been in the program several years, so they really know the memory work. I'm going to show you two different ways. So for the little children, we have gone nominative, subject, and then they repeat nominative, subject. And then they'll put their hands in their pockets of their jeans because they've got possessions in their pockets. So we say genitive, possessive, genitive, possessive. Now, you cannot look at the sun in the daytime directly, so we say dative, indirect object, dative, indirect object, and then they find a partner and say accusative, direct object, because in the sun of the indirect, there's this indirect, and then the accusative, the action of the verb goes directly. You know, he pushed the limits. The limits have been pushed. I'm not going to say pushed like the person or whatever, but accusative, direct object. And then for ablative, people don't know, I've never even heard that word. So for fun, I have said blah, 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 blah. And all of these extra words have come out, and you're going to pick them up in the shape of the O because that's the object of the preposition. So I'm going to show you how this has come to play with making sense for the older kids. So I used a case, and then we changed up the way that this word was used based on what it was. So you'll see right here it says the case has a handle, and they've learned in essentials the subject noun in this sentence is case. And we know from Latin that nomen is name, right? So nominative, those are always going to be the naming nouns and pronouns, like I went to the store, you are learning this right now, the case has a handle, Amy is teaching. Whatever it is, the subject is going to be where case is when it is the nominative and has a nominative ending. It'll become the subject. So genitive, if I look at the case and I say, ooh, what about the case? What does it possess? Well, the case's contents are very valuable. So predicate or possessive noun adjectives would be where you take a noun like case and it's describing the contents, because we're saying that the contents are valuable. The case's contents show you that the case is possessing and holding the contents, right? But we're talking about the contents, so that's the subject. This is describing the subject. So the case's contents. If you were, and I tied in the preposition today because a preposition can be a noun or a pronoun, right? So if you change this, you could say its contents are valuable. Or you could say my jeans are filled with coins. You know, so you can dive into that at home so that they see possessive noun adjectives, possessive pronoun adjectives, right? So then dative indirect object, now the case is no longer going to be the object that we're talking about in this. So I'll bring this chair over here, and if I said to the person in this chair, push me the case, I asked the kids, are they pushing the case or are they pushing me? They said they're pushing the case. Well, this, in essentials, I like to put field goal posts right here, like something jumped in the way to receive the thing that's here. So the indirect object in this sentence is me. Push me the case, because I jumped in, but you're not pushing me. That's not directly getting the push, right? So that's the indirect object. And the reason why we use field goals in essentials is because when you diagram later in the year, they're going to discover that the lines on the framework that you place the words look like this. And so I like to tell them that something, just like if I said bake a cookie, the cookie would be the direct object. But if I jumped in and I said, ooh, I want that cookie, bake me the cookie, then I've jumped into the sport. I am wanting to have what you're baking directly, but I want the object. So things like that sort of make sense for kids. So in this case, push me, the case, me is the indirect object. Because you're not pushing me, you're pushing the case. And then accusative, direct object. The verb is going directly to what is getting the action. So accusative, direct object, push the case to me. Do you see the difference? Push me, the case, push the case to me. Do you see the difference? I think you do. So that's receiving the direct verb. So push the case. And then blah, 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 blah. If you look at this, it says he walks with the case. So I took the case, and we were walking, and he doesn't walk the case, right? He's walking. There's these extra blah, 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 blah words that make this make sense. And this was really cool for week 1, because what did we learn? A preposition relates a noun or pronoun to another word. So in this case, here's your prepositional phrase, subject he, verb walks, with the case is here. These are the added blah, blah, blah words. This preposition with is going to be in their preposition list, and this is relating he and case. He walks with the case, and the object of the preposition with what? With the case. With what? The case. With object, case. And one thing I love to point out to our essential students is anytime you have an object, it's going to be a noun or a pronoun, okay? So once again for review, little kids, they can just say over and over, nominative, subject, genitive, possessive, dative, indirect object, accusative, direct object, ablative, object of the preposition. Older kids, nominative, we're naming the subject. The case has a handle. Genitive, there's a possessive adjective here, so the case's contents are valuable. Indirect object, I'm going to jump in there because I want the case. So push me, don't push me the case. I'm going to jump in there, push me the case, all right? And then accusative, direct object, push the case. It's going to directly receive the action to me. And then the object of the preposition, here's the preposition, we're going to relate the case to something else. He walks with the case. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps you. I hope that you can take that and use it, but I wanted to bring in a visual to show them that when we test them for Memory Master, they're going to remember back to, oh yeah, that was the day that Mrs. Schroyer went on and on and on and talked to us forever about the case. I know what to do. Nominative, subject, genitive, possessive, dative, indirect object, accusative, direct object, blah, 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 blah. Ablative, object of the preposition. Hope that helps. Enjoy your Latin.